when we talk about manifesting generosity amongst ourselves, there's a really, really important point that and I encourage everybody here to really concern themselves with. And that is, every time anybody travels anywhere in the Muslim world, whether they go to Nigeria or whether they go to Morocco or whether they go to Bangladesh or they go to Indonesia or they go to the Middle East, anywhere, any non-Muslim travels anywhere to the Muslim world, what is the one thing that they come back raving about?
Generosity.
Absolutely. Hospitality. They will feed you and feed you and feed you, and then you have to turn over the cup, and then you turn over the cup, and they still feed you. You got to like flip the table eventually just to get away. And they just are wowed. And you know what? We have this hospitality, and we have this generosity, and it exists here. When Kahari and I go to lunch, or Bilal and I go to lunch, or whoever it is, we do the whole wrestling thing, right? Muslims everywhere, we do that. We do the whole, trying to fight in front of the cashier, and we do the stealing of the bill and the arguing. And I can't tell you how many times that waiters or cashiers or what have you have kind of thrown their hands up in the air, just like, there you guys go again, right? Like, y'all always do this. And I've heard this so many times. But we only do this when it's us. But when I go to lunch with Bill, right? Or when she goes to lunch with Jessica, are we doing the same thing? Okay, they'll never contest it. But what's stopping us from doing that?
Not to be taken advantage of?
You think that they will never contest it? Why am I not worried about being taken advantage of when I go to lunch for someone else?
You assume that we don't do that with Jessica.
I'm not assuming about individuals. I don't know about individuals,
But
but just as a general
Mostly
culture, we don't have it as a general culture.
That's true. That's true. That's true. We are different when we are going with our people versus when we're going with.
That's true. Yeah.
So
it is different.
It's interesting because it goes back to this issue of being a culture consumer versus a culture creator. And we very much still, it goes back to what we were talking about, I don't know if we were doing this on camera or not, but when we were talking about Ibn Khaldun and his presentation of subjugated people versus dominant people, we have so many beautiful qualities that will beautify the existence of societies around us. Imagine if the only thing people knew about Muslims was like, you can say whatever you want, but you're not paying for lunch with one of them. Like, you're not paying for dinner with one of them. And yeah, maybe someone might take advantage of you. Maybe, eventually 5 or 6 or 7 times you're always taking lunch and you're always paying. So you might want, but let's get to that point, right? Let's get to the position where people know us for our generosity, because it's there, it's already there.
Is there more reward to give to a Muslim than a non-Muslim?
Is there more reward to give to a Muslim or a non-Muslim? You know what's really interesting about that? Is that, and I remember reading this from Sheikh Ja'far Sheikh Idris, Hafidhullah, one of our great, scholars, living scholars. He says, look at all of the verses in the Quran that are talking about feeding the poor and taking care of the orphan. You will find that they are Meccan surahs. The vast majority of them are Meccan surahs. Now, when the Muslims were in Mecca, how many were they? They were a very insignificant, small minority amongst a non-Muslim majority. And so when Allah is telling them to feed the orphan and feed the prisoner even, and the prisoner, different than the orphan, because you could say, okay, well, the orphan might be Muslim. The prisoner is never Muslim. And so when Allah is saying, feed the prisoner, take care of the orphan, take care of the poor, it is invoking us to take care of the non-Muslims around us as well. And the Prophet ﷺ's generosity and all of his beautiful qualities were never restricted to the Muslim community. Everybody recognized and everybody experienced his generosity. Everybody experienced his benevolence. Everybody experienced his beauty.